Hello and Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Izyan Adhlin Binti Sarudin. My metric number is 154057 and I'm a third year student of medical physics. I will be the presenter for this video presentation.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nursyuhada Binti Muhammad Fauzi with metric number 154013. I'm also a third year student from medical physics, and in this video, I will be a video editor.
How fast time flies. Do you guys know that the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki were American bombing raids on the Japanese cities of during World War II, which marked the first use of atomic weapons in war? What is actually they used in the atomic bomb that caused disaster to the Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Before we get through it, let us recap a bit about the history of atomic bombing that happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. On 6 August 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb on the city of Hiroshima. The bomb was known as Little Boy, a uranium gun-type bomb that exploded with about 13 kilotons of force and maimed hundreds of thousands of people, and their effects are still being felt today. By the end of 1945, the bombing had killed an estimated 140,000 people in Hiroshima and a further 74,000 in Nagasaki. The factors that contribute to this destruction due to the Japan's unwillingness to surrender unconditionally, as they want to keep their emperor and conduct their own war trials and did not want to be occupied by US forces. Another reason why the United States dropped the atomic bombs, and specifically the second one in Nagasaki, due to the distrust and a sense of rivalry had been built up between Japanese force and Soviet Union that ultimately culminated in the Cold War. Little Boy, the name of the bomb dropped in the Hiroshima, was a gun assembly fission bomb using Uranium-235, whereas Fat Man, the name of the bomb dropped in Nagasaki, was an implosion fission bomb utilizing Plutonium-240. Inside the Little Boy bomb, a controlled explosion created with high explosive propelled a subcritical mass of Uranium-235 down a long tube similar to the barrel of a gun, where it collided with the second subcritical mass of the Uranium-235. The collision between these two substances triggered a nuclear fission chain reaction which detonated the bomb. It detonated with the same force as 15,000 tons of TNT, forming a mushroom cloud about 60,000 feet tall and releasing radiation into the air. It took roughly 45 seconds for the Little Boy to descend to an altitude of 1,900 feet, at which point it exploded in the sky directly above the Hiroshima hospital. Within a fraction of a second of detonation, the temperature at ground level exceeded 7,000 degrees Celsius and a powerful blast wave scored the landscape. Although less than 2% of the Uranium-235 contained in Little Boy had achieved fission, the bomb was horrifying in its destructive power. After 2 days of Hiroshima bombing, the US Army dropped the second bomb in Nagasaki, that known as Fat Man bomb. The initial design for this bomb was also based on using a simple gun design like the uranium bomb. As the plutonium was produced in the nuclear reactors at Hanford, Washington, it was discovered that the plutonium was not as pure as the initial sample from Lawrence Radiation Laboratory. The plutonium contained amount of Plutonium-240, an isotope with a rapid spontaneous fission rate. This necessitated that a different type of bomb be designed. A gun-type bomb would not be fast enough to work. Before the bomb could be assembled, a few stray neutrons would have been emitted from the spontaneous fission, and this would start a premature chain reaction, which leading to a great reduction in the energy released. Seth Neddermeyer, a scientist at Los Alamos, developed the idea of using explosive charges to compress a sphere of plutonium very rapidly to a density sufficient to make it go critical and produce a nuclear explosion. Imagine a big explosion in your area. Imagine a plane full of smoke. Imagine an engine going clack, 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 and it sounds so scary. In the years that followed, many of the survivors would face leukemia, cancer, and other terrible side effects from the radiation. It raised and burned around 70% of buildings and 45, along with the increased rates of cancer and chronic disease among the survivors. Some of those who entered the cities after the bombing to provide assistance also died from the radiation. For long-term effect, it takes around 10 seconds for the fireball from a nuclear explosion to reach its maximum size, but the effect lasts for decades and span across generations. I think that's all for this presentation, and thank you for listening.